What's going on, ladies and gentlemen? Excited to bring you this boat today because this is something that I get a lot of requests on. I'm going to go over the benefits here, the features, what's on the kayak, what you get, maybe what you don't get, and then stay tuned to the end here. I'll kind of give my final thoughts and things that I see on these kayaks, because again, I always see these when they've been used a little bit, and there is kind of a common theme to certain things that may be failing or about to fail on these, maybe some things that we need to fix before we try to resell it. But anyways, starting here at the front, you've got the molded in front handle, which again, I love because that's going to make it a lot easier to tie it down to a trailer, put it in the back of a truck, even car topping. You do have the front hatch here. It is a lockable hatch. You've got three little lockable hinges here. So you've got a decent amount of room in here, but you don't have access to the entire hull. So if you're wanting to store rods and gear, you're probably not going to be able to do that inside the boat, but it's going to be adequate if you're just wanting to store some dry bags in there. One thing to note too, if you've got the Overdrive pedal drive system and it's brought up like it is, you're not going to be able to open that unless that's deployed all the way down like you're in the water. So know that that may be an issue there too. I do like how they've maintained the open deck style. I'm a big fan of that personally. If you're looking to stand up and fish from, this may not be the most stable boat in this price range, but it's adequate. It's not going to be a bad stability factor on this. The drive system, I'm going to be honest with you, the drive system looks pretty solid just from looking at it here. I'm going to get this boat on the water here in the next day or so and kind of take it through some tests there, see what I think of it. I'll do a video on that, of course, too, just to kind of let you know. Because again, this is not a cheap option to put on this boat. This boat, MSRP from Feelfree is $23.99 for the 11-foot 5 and the pedal drive installed on it. You can add that later, so you can build it incrementally. There's the carrying case that comes with the Overdrive. There's the little pod that sticks in this this little scupper here, which again, that's what comes with the paddle version of it. You can also upgrade to a higher back seat, which a customer brought to us as well, instead of the kind of the low back option, which you see here. Moving on to the seat. So the seat has got this kind of wacky scissor lift type thing going on here. So you could see the bar running up this way and you see the other bar running across. Just to bring it up, you're just simply pulling it up. It'll lock in place, and then you've got levers here and on the other side that you can pull up and it brings it down. It's called the gravity seat. You've also up here, you've got for your rudder, you've got very similar to say what you see on a Hobie, these little pull cords and this little clam cleat locking mechanism here. That brings the rudder, which you see back there, up and down. You do have a small kind of tackle Plano box storage here. It's a little on the smaller side. I would guess it would handle anything under probably a 3600 size. Got a little bungee in there to hold it in place, which is really nice. Really nice tank well. So in addition to the cup holders here, which I just left out, they are kind of deep. So if you got like your 30-ounce tumblers, that's going to work well for it. You do have the flush mount rod holders in the back. Really nice tank well again. You can store gear under the bungee. You can even move the bungee across the gear track if you want more room here. This is great for a cooler, tackle crate, any kind of setup you got there. And then the rudder. So kind of a thinner profile rudder. Again, we'll see how it performs on the water. I'd probably like to see a little bit more of a wider rudder to move a boat this size. Because again, this boat, they claim it to weigh 87 pounds without the seat and the drive. It's a little bit more like in the low 90s to mid 90s, honestly. And then there's the wheel and the keel. So they got a thick plastic wheel on that. And again, like I said before, it is a heavy boat. So I'll go over some stuff here now, some things to watch for, some things that I see. Because again, when I'm seeing these kayaks, it's after they've been used pretty heavily or moderately. And there's some common culprits that people may want to get rid of it, or some things that I may need to fix before I put it on the market. The first thing is going to be that wheel. So the fact that this boat is long and heavy, you're going to have a lot of stress on the back part of the boat. So what happens is the wheel is going to want to go outward and upward, and the hardware that holds it in the hull is going to want to go upward and inward. So it creates a little bit of a braking motion in there. And a lot of people will have all their fishing gear installed on it. They'll have the seat, the drive, maybe some other stuff on there, and haul it to the water. That's a lot of stress for any hull to take, let alone this one here. So that hardware will work itself loose from the plastic, and you'll start to see some water coming in there. Another thing that you're going to want to watch for is the seat. So I can't tell you how many of these I've seen where the seat, again, there's a lot going on under here. A lot of latches, a lot of kind of crevices where that lever fits into. That's kind of a softer aluminum that is going to move and sway over time and work itself loose. And I've seen, usually the seats that I see, these gravity seats, gravity kind of takes over eventually and it becomes just gravity. So you get it up, it may stick, it may not. And then also, if you got in that high position, you're out in the water, that thing will just out of nowhere slam down to the ground because your latching mechanism is just not as strong as it used to be when it was brand new. That is definitely something to watch out for, because again, if you're not comfortable in the lowest seating position with the pedal drive, you're probably going to find yourself really disliking this seat altogether. I've seen some people put blocks underneath it to kind of keep it up, but to me, for a $2,400 kayak, that's really kind of something that you're really not going to be real happy with there. Also, and finally, really the major issue is the front hatch. So if you've got the pedal drive in here and it's up like you see, you cannot open this. That's as far as that's going to open. So you're going to have to literally take the entire drive out or have it deployed completely down in order to access your hatch. And plus, you can see the hull design, it funnels the water actually down toward the hatch, which is kind of it was kind of a surprise to me. There's no gunnels or anything here where it naturally kind of filters it away or even back into the deck. It actually ramps upward here, so you get a little bit of a bowl action here with this hatch in the bottom of it, and the lid doesn't really flare up really high. So just know in rain or even in some light surf, or you get anything over the top of that, you're going to get water in that hole. So water entry in the hatch, water entry back on the wheel on the keel when the hardware works itself loose, seat malfunctions. Again, it's a budget kayak. So just know anytime you see a budget kayak on the market, brand new, just know there's no perfect kayak, obviously, but when you get too low in the budget, you're going to be making some sacrifices. If you're okay with that, there's nothing wrong with that. But just know there are going to be some sacrifices. There are going to be maybe some durability issues on certain parts. You're not, a lot of these foreign-made kayaks, and that's another thing. This is made in Taiwan, so if the U.S.-made roto-molded thing is a big thing to you, that's something to consider. Parts, I've seen you can find some parts at certain dealers, but again, the older you get on these kayaks, and when I'm talking about older, I mean like 3 to 5 years, you're going to get to a point where you're not able to get those parts anymore because they're not mass-produced like that. And I'm talking about, again, expensive things like seats and drives and, even just your lid to your hatch there, the wheel and the keel. I've seen some people actually delete the wheel because, again, it's taking in water. You have to plastic weld up the holes in there, which that is something you have going for this. It is roto-molded, but it is a foreign-made plastic. So that's another thing that you do need to watch for is there is a different composition. It's the same plastic resin, but again, the process is different. So you'll get a little bit of a waxier texture and a little bit of a sheen to it. Again, without really getting on it with a heat gun, just know that you may have some durability issues there. You may not. You may have some people out there that's been in them for 10 years, may not have any issues. But again, just know that that could be an issue. You can plastic weld these, so you can repair it. It's not the end of the world, but they're just going to be more to keep an eye on. So value. So what do you get for the money you spend? $23.99 is expensive. Granted, it's not what I would consider bottom of the barrel on the budget with pedal drive kayaks, but when you're talking about, you can get a Hobie rotomolded Passport for around $18.99. You can get the 12-footer for $19.99. You can also get a native Propel 10 that only weighs 62 pounds. Again, this boat weighs around in the low 90s without the seat in the drive. That's a heavy boat. So again, you can get a lighter version in a 10-foot with a native Propel. That's a really solid kayak. You can also get the Jackson Bite FD. That runs around $26.99 so for a couple $100 more, you can get a Jackson pedal drive. It's also 11.5 foot, maybe a little bit more stable, a little bit better rudder system. Again, that's really for you to decide if it's worth your money. I just wanted to show you just a couple things to watch out for on the kayak, especially if you're looking in the used market, just some things to look for there. But anyways, guys, thank you so much for watching these videos. I hope you enjoy it. And again, I'm not trying to slight anybody that owns Feelfree. Some of those guys can probably tell you the similar things to watch out for, or maybe some things that I forgot or left out there. If you would, let us know down in the comments. But anyways, without further ado, we'll catch you on the next video. And thank you so much for watching, everybody.